8.2.3 The standard of oneness is absolute faith and absolute love. You should consider that the path of God's liberation and completion is the path of restoration which the true parents have established. Just as the true parents walk the path of absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience before God, we must also walk the same path of absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience before the true parents. Only then shall I, Reverend Moon, follow you around, being on the same level with you. It is absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience. In the Garden of Eden, that is what God asked Adam and Eve to keep through the commandment that God gave to them. God was saying, with an absolute standard, I created all things in order to find the partners of love. You should reach this level. That is why you are asked to practice absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience. Obedience has no sense of self. How rugged the road of restoration is. I, Reverend Moon, should not violate the efforts made by others who have come this far. If I did, I would not be qualified to be the true parent. I would not be qualified to be the bridegroom. I would not be qualified to be the elder brother. And I would not be qualified to be the sibling. Because of such a heart, I uphold absolute faith. I should practice absolute faith. It is absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience. That is why I invest and forget and pull you forward whenever I have time and raise people up with my philosophy of love and then give them to you to love more than anyone else. You are the descendants of the fallen archangel. In such a position, can you have marriage partners? You cannot. So, by taking some part of Adam's body and engrafting it, I place you in the position of my younger siblings and bind you together. Cain, in the position of Satan, struck his younger brother to death, didn't he? What shall we do this time? Shall we also strike our younger brother to death? The elder brother is the one who saves them all. That's why I'm telling you to practice absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience.
There are still paths of indemnity, but I have laid a wide road along all these paths. Your families are supposed to go over these paths, but as the representative, I have laid a highway for all of those in a satanic world. Therefore, if you pass through the realm of heart by being one with me, the true parent in whom you absolutely believe, absolutely love, and absolutely obey, you can be engrafted onto me and freely go over the path that I have pioneered. That is why I teach you absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience. By centering on a standard of the ideal of true love, which God created in Adam's family, and as the object partner who was that standard and has become one with true Father, you should go over the individual environment and connect your tribes and relatives. After passing through the age of the family, we have now come to the age of the blood relatives. You should know that this person has become the true parent who stands above good individuals' parents and represents the new nation that stands above nations, the new world that stands above the evil world, the individual who stands above fallen people, and a king who stands above kings. Thus, by absolutely loving him, you will be able to victoriously go over Satan's world and all the heinous environments of the fallen world. So, before His will, standing as the subject partner, you should be resolved to become one in absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience, and go forward. This should be the creed of the Unification Church members who are striving to save and recreate the fallen world. It is true love alone that can unite the mind and body that were divided through false love. So, you should practice true love. You should absolutely obey the command of the true parents. It is possible only on that basis. It is impossible below the standard of absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience. You must absolutely not be separated from Reverend Moon. You must not fail to practice absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience. If you fail, gaps will widen in you. There should be no gaps. So, am I trustworthy? Have I lived like that or not?
In the completed Testament age, families should settle. This requires absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience. So let us fulfill the ideal of mind and body unity and realize the realm of liberation of the kingdom of heaven on earth and in heaven. This is the last thing to do. I am talking about the settlement of families. We should realize the realm of liberation by creating the kingdom of heaven on earth and in heaven. We should clean up heaven and everything. The time when you and I have to separate will come. You are to go out among the people, and my path will move upward to a higher place. When I head to the vertical place, can this vertical place go over into the horizontal one? The horizontal should follow the vertical and climb up, right? They should have the same angle. If their angles were to diverge, they would fall apart. That is why you should become absolutely one, centering on the vertical standard of absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience. It is absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience. No matter what, you must become individuals who can receive all ownership that comes from God's blessing on the family level that I'm talking about. To do this, you should love based on absolute faith. You should practice absolute love and absolute obedience, even if you may have to give up your own family and nation. We must stand on this foundation and become a family that kicks out the first ancestors' sorrow of not having been able to keep the commandment given to them. By doing so, you can go straight to the kingdom of heaven as a victorious family of liberation. This is a special grace that is granted by Reverend Moon to you. Indeed, this is a special grace. In order to find out whether this is a lie or not, just die and see. You will discover it right away. This is how serious it is.